So today, if you will hear his voice in the day of provocation. So this is live twice, right? This is my second time going live, and I didn't know if I wanted to do that. But anyway, just tell the story, right? Because the whole idea is this. Think about this. This is the whole idea. So I'm like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old, and my dad's telling me these stories, jokes and stuff like that. And I was like, man, how did he know all that? How did he learn all that? And little by little, I kept listening to his stories, and I was like, man, it was impressing on me. And I was like, man, I want to be the greatest storyteller one day. I was like 4 or 5, maybe 7, something like that. Just old enough to remember stuff. See, I didn't remember anything after, I think my earliest memory is like 4 that I can remember. So I told that story of learning how to ride a bike. So I was talking to this guy about when I learned how to ride a bike. And I said, man, I learned how to ride a bike when I was like 4. He's like, there's no way. I was like, yeah, that's what I did. I learned how to ride a bike when I was 4. And he says, oh, that's right. We had training wheels, huh? And I go, yeah, we had training wheels. And I might have used training wheels. I don't remember that much. I don't remember all the details, but I remember I was 4, maybe 5, until about 6. Yeah, about 6. No, maybe 4. Anyway, I wasn't in school yet. So a couple years went by and I went to school. Anyway, the point of the story is this. I explained to the guy that I learned how to ride a bike when I was 4 because we were talking about bike riding and the different types of bikes, different type of riding. I was like, yeah, man. I started learning how to ride a bike when I was 4. So as the years went by and I continued riding bikes, my mom and dad bought me bikes. They bought me this one bike, this Cook's Brothers, for BMX racing. And I had never raced BMX before, but I was a rider already. I could jump, I could do all of that, right? I was flying. So I got into racing bikes and I went over this. Hold on. You know what? Man, I should probably bring that picture out. Anyway, we're out in Claremont on this flat track, and they're taking pictures. They got these little tiny things, right? And you can look through them and see yourself in the negative, but if you looked at it in the light, you can see yourself just like a picture. Like 1980, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, so we're talking about riding bikes. And that was great, right? Having that story. And he was like, yeah, so we talked and we went our separate ways. Well, later on, I'm sorry. Let's take it back further. So I'm talking to this guy and sharing what I believe I've learned from Yeshua, from the Messiah, a spirit, right? A thing that went up into the clouds and came down on Pentecost and dwells inside me. So I'm learning from that thing that's inside me. So I'm sharing with him something that I learned inside that I had been contemplating and thinking about concerning the feast days. The feast days are coming. And I don't know a whole lot about them, but I'm like trying to antenna the information. I'm trying to receive the signal, hear from the Most High, just put my antenna up and listen. What is it that you want me to share with this guy about your kingdom? Because he's like early 30s, approximately. And so we get on to talking, and I'm sharing with him the kingdom of God in the perspective that I've learned over the years from the antenna, right? The antenna's been up. I'm listening, and I'm hearing. I'm spending my time alone. I went into isolation. I left the groups. I left all the people and went isolation big time. And so I was like, listening for the voice of the Most High. What does that even mean? And how do you do that? How do you get aligned to hear? So I put my antenna up. I'm here. I'm asking. Help me out, right? So I'm telling this guy the story. He's like, oh man, you just made me shiver inside. And I was like, I don't know what that means exactly. I mean, I know what it feels like, and I know what's happened. But like, wait a minute. How did that happen that he's telling me how he's feeling? And I know about this one thing, right? Maybe you know about this. It's called feeling the music. There's a couple entertainers over the years, I'd be listening to their music, right? And I feel this like the shivering inside, like it made me feel like I connected. So I'm feeling the music, right? Early on. So he says to me, man, you just made me shiver inside. So I'm like, that's interesting. He tells me, man, how come you don't become a motivational speaker? And I thought about, man, that would be great if I could do that to other people. If I could do that to hundreds of people and make them feel that way, the message of God penetrate the walls of our religious dogmas, our religious doctrines, our religious concepts of man, right? So I'm a man, right? And I'm like trying to teach the kingdom of God, like, and then I'm saying get away from man's traditions, right? So it's just crazy. Anyway, what I mean by man's traditions and man's teachings are the things that have been accumulated to lead you down a path that man is constructed, not God. And so I try to lead people, listen, I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. And so I left it like that, right? I'm not the guy. I can't do that. Who am I? Like, I'm going to share the kingdom of God with people? Like a motivational speaker? So another guy, later on, we're talking about self-improvement. This young guy. I'm down in this parking lot, and I don't know the guy. He just walks up. He says to me something like, how's it going? I told him everything's great. What about you? He's like, I'm doing all right. And I go, have you heard? And he says right away to me, I'm like, all I said was, have you heard? He says, are you some kind of motivational coach? And I was like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe I am. I don't know. I haven't decided that. I haven't even thought about that. So I was like, that's kind of interesting. So I continued, right? I just went past that. I didn't care. I didn't care about that. I mean, I cared that he said something to me. We were having a conversation, but I didn't look at myself that way. I didn't see that to be like something, just a memory that he said that. And I asked him about David. Have you heard about David? That's what I was, my whole point was to tell him the story of David, right? I wanted to tell him the story. So that was in the back of my mind. I guess, filed that away a bit as just, that's interesting. That guy thought about that. He doesn't even know me. I haven't even told him the story yet. I haven't got to the story yet. And so I told him a little bit about David, and then he's like, oh yeah, I've heard about David, and blah, blah, blah. And so he went his way, I went my way. And I was like, wow, that was interesting. Okay. That young guy thought like that Anyway, so yesterday, this guy that I work with, he's the guy that actually hired me to the position I'm in now. And I had spent like 200 interviews probably a few years of looking for my purpose, right? I didn't need a job, but I needed a purpose. So I decided I was going to have a new hobby. My new hobby was to do interviews, perfect the interviewing skill, right? Draw you into this, perfect the interviewing skill. How to go through an interview process and perfect it, right? And so that's a great, hobby. So I went through 200. I didn't even know that it was going to happen like this, right? I just figured I'd do it and it'd happen a few times. I'd get a job or something would happen. Anyway, I'm at the city of Chula Vista. And in order to get there, you gotta be able to get into the testing phase first. So you put your application in, or your resume, and you enter your name into their hiring process, their application process, and then they give you a few dates that you can go in and test. So you pick one, and I picked this date. I went in there, took their test. And then they pick out of the tests like 10 people to interview, right? So you go through this interview process and they rank you from your test to your interview. And I get a letter. I'm ranked number 1. This happens 3 times, right? In the course of this, learning how to perfect interviewing, 200 interviews, right? Somewhere in the 200. I don't know if it's 30 or 50 or something like that. 45, 47, and 49. I'll say it like that. That sounds funny. Anyway, I ranked the 3rd time, right? 3 times I ranked number 1. And I'm like, the 3rd time, I'm like, oh man, surely this is going to happen, right? 3 times ranking number 1. That's hard. That ain't easy. To rank number 1 once, to outperform. Think about it. I'm at the city of Chula Vista. There's probably 500 people interviewing or putting in their applications. Then they pick out of the 500 or maybe more, I don't know, who they're going to bring in to test, because they can't test everybody. If they get 2,000 applicants, they can't test those 2,000. They just don't. They rank the top 50 or so, and then they bring those top 50 in to test. I ranked in the top 50 first. And then, and I'm not saying this to brag, right? I'm just telling you the story so you can understand the perseverance. See, this is really a story of perseverance. So I'm in there, and I get into the last rounds of interviews for the 3rd time. There's 3 people, me and 2 other people. And I go into interview, and I already know I'm number 1, right? I outranked everybody. So I interview, and remember, at this time, I've probably had, I don't know, 50 interviews. I had almost every question memorized. Almost every question I had like 5 answers for. Maybe more, but at least 5 answers that I could go through on that question for each of the different types of employment or job classifications that I was interviewing for. So I went through and nailed them, right? I think they didn't hire me, right? Like, how do you do that? How do you do that, right? How do you survive that? It was disappointing. It was really disappointing. But then I was like, well, you're just doing this for a hobby anyway. Who cares? You don't care about this job. The only way you'd care about it is if they hire you. See, this is the thing. I had a conversation with God. I'm not sure if prayer is the right word, but I was talking to God, and I was like, God, I need a purpose, and I don't really want to build a business. I wasn't really interested in that. Just go somewhere where I could get an income, talk to people, interact with people, because I'm trying to get the kingdom of God out, right? That's the whole thing. My purpose, to get the kingdom of God out. Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? So I was like, okay, God, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take on a new hobby. I've turned it in my resume. I'm going to buff up my resume. It didn't take much because I already had been keeping an eye on it anyway. So I buffed it up a little bit, made it current, I guess. I got it up to speed. And it'd been like, I don't know, 4 years I was retired. And so I had to add in, it was kind of like, what do you do about that? How do you put on your resume? I guess I don't remember what I put, but maybe retired. So anyway, I'm going to these positions because I'm retired and I'm not employed. It's making it harder, right? DEI is in place, right? And I'm like, wow, this is going to be hard because they're looking like I don't fit the description of the type of person they're trying to hire because of this. See this right here? This was the first obstacle. The limiting belief, it tried to set in, right? The limiting belief tried to set in that you're not going to be able to get a job. They're looking for people of a certain persuasion, and you ain't that. And I was contending with that. And I was like, so what? I don't care. Maybe I'll never get hired. I don't care. I'm in it for that anyway. It's the hobby of perfecting interviews, submitting my application, my resume. You know, I had gotten, and again, this is not a brag. This is just a development, right? Because it's about the motivational speaker path that I'm going down now, right? So they say to get your video of, you know, your story. This is, you know, I went through probably 5 videos of different people that are talking about how to become a motivational speaker. And, you know, that path is great, but I don't think I'm going to go that path, you know, the way that they say to do it. I think I'm going to go my own path, and we'll see how that works out. Just like, man, I might have to put out 200 motivational videos before I get a call, before somebody emails me or texts me that would like to share this perseverance story with their employees, right? So the first target are businesses with employees that need employees to persevere. Sometimes we just don't perfect our product because we don't persevere to its, what would it be? To its marketable place where people actually want it, right? You don't even have to show it to them. They're like looking for it. That's the thing you want to persevere through, is you want people looking for your product, even though it's not on the shelf. They're like, we're looking for this thing and it's not even on the shelf yet. That's me. I ain't now on the shelf yet. So I'm teaching a perseverance story, right? That employers might want to have their employees learn, because again, when it comes to perfecting a product, marketing, sales, all of those things, if you perfect the strategy by implementing 100, 200 fails, you might have something. It's just the fails alone. You might have something. But sometimes it ain't even until the 200th fail that somebody's like, that's it. So I'm sitting down having this interview during COVID at my house on a Zoom. This guy, I'm looking at him like, there's no way this guy's gonna hire me. I go into my mom's room when I'm done. I'm like, well, that's like 200. I don't think I'm gonna get that one either, because he's this and I'm that. My limiting beliefs kicked in, and I'm saying that to my mom. Total limiting belief, right? The next day, I'm at the golf course. This guy calls me. He's like, hey, we would like to hire you. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. He goes, you interested? And I go, yeah, I'm interested. What's your offer like? What's your package? What's your hiring process? And what do I need to do? And how much would I be making? He goes, oh, we can only offer you $23.07 an hour. And I was like, damn, that's low. But I already told God, whatever came along, I'd take it. If it was $2, I would have taken it, just because it was purpose. I didn't care about the money. I wasn't in it for the money anyway. I was in it for the purpose. So I was like, that's your offer? He goes, yeah. That's top pay for that position. We can't give you any more. I was like, oh, okay. Sure. What do you want me to do? He's like, well, we need to do a background check and all this stuff. And I was like, all right, whatever I need to do. So they made me, they asked me to send in my information, my driver's license and my data. And so I sent it in, they took it and they sent it out. And I waited, take like 2 months of waiting. And I had some issues, right? I had some issues that I had, in my mind that I had done that are like, man, that's going to hold me up. That's going to hold me up. That's going to hold me up. That's going to stop me. Oh, if they find that out, right? That was when I was 18. Imagine they dig back when I was 18. And anyway, so I just sat on it. I went to play golf and I was washing clothes. See that fence right there? I built that fence during my time off. There's a wall behind that fence that's an eyesore. So I didn't think my neighbor would want to like tear it down and rebuild and all that. Maybe he likes it. His brother-in-law built it and all this stuff. So I was like, nah, I'm creating veneer. I'm gonna create a veneer. So I put that fence up, right? I never put a fence. Oh no, you know what? I'm sorry. I have built a fence. So I built this one fence years ago at this other employer. I didn't know how to do it. They gave me the task, the lead, the position to build this fence, like, I don't know, 100 yards. I was like, okay, got it. I had never built a fence before. So what I did was, let me see, that was like 08, 10, something like that. So I had a smartphone by then. I already knew how to use a smartphone. In 08, I had my first smartphone. Navigating it, videos started coming up. I think YouTube was like 2 years old, something like that. I don't remember, but there was some access to information that I could go into to build a fence. How to set the posts, how deep to set them, how much concrete, everything. How to level them, tools I'll need. So I took the list of tools. I went to Home Depot, got everything I needed. I was like, I'm gonna build this fence. Build this fence I ain't never done before, right? So I didn't care. Anyway, this story is about perseverance. So we're gonna go back to the perseverance, right? That was kind of going off the deep end about one other thing. So there's so many stories to tell. When I was a little boy, right? My dad was telling me these stories, and I was listening. I was like, man, I want to be the greatest storyteller ever. But, I forgot about being a little child. See, the kingdom of God, when you listen to Yeshua, and I say Yeshua because it's an Israeli name. It's a name that ties you to Israel. It comes through Abraham, right? It's the relationship between Abraham and God where the message of Messiah began and then developed and grew through the years. So in order to get to that promise, you go through the living trust, the document, the earth. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. So back to the story. So I want to be the greatest storyteller ever. And I ain't got no stories. I'm like, man, I ain't got no stories. I don't know any stories. What stories do I know? I only knew the stories my dad told me. And I couldn't even remember them because I was like 4. So I've forgotten that over the years. And one day, about maybe 2 years ago, it hit me. It was like, remember when you were a kid? Like, yeah, you wanted to be the greatest storyteller ever. And I was looking at books and I was looking at these other things and trying to figure out how to be the greatest. I didn't know how to do it. So I kind of drifted away from it. But I was still building stories. I was still reading. And I wasn't reading like at school. I hated school reading. I hated it. It was like, school sucked. It was like an oppressive environment for thinking, right? You couldn't think. You just had to repeat. Everything was repeat. And my memory was so bad because I hated it, I didn't care. By the time I got to 3rd grade, this is how I was, right? I didn't have a problem, and I'm not saying this to brag at all, just this story, right? Just this story, this little boy. I'm like in 3rd grade, and I didn't like to take baths or showers at all. I didn't care. My mom had to force me once a week to take a bath, whether I needed it or not. I had to take a bath on Sunday. So I took a bath on Sunday, and it was always like difficulty for my mom. She'd always like, you gotta take a bath. I don't want to. Well, you have to. It's been a week. You're dirty. You're nasty, right? Telling me that. I don't care. You gotta go to school tomorrow. You're gonna be dirty when you go to school. I don't care. So I'd go to school, right? And I had this teacher. She was an older lady, right? I was like in 3rd grade. She'd tell me, Richard Ledferd, your elbows are all dirty. You need to go to the bathroom and wash them elbows up and clean them up. So I'd say, all right. And I'd get up and leave, and I'd go to the bathroom. And I remember, right? Think about this. I remember this. I was a little kid. Somebody taught me this. I don't remember who taught me this. But if you get like a paper towel, one of those brown type, they're kind of thick, and you wet it real good, and you fold it up, like, right? You fold it in the corners like this, right? And then you stick it on the wall, and you scratch a little hole in it, and you blow into it. It puffs up, and then you pop it, right? And it goes, poof, it blows up. I was like, oh, that's dope. So I'd do it 3 or 4 times while I was in there, wash my elbows up, dry them off or whatever. However I did that. That was kind of like that's the story, right? The bathroom story. I'm in there goofing around. Anyway, after doing that, I'd go back to the class, I'd sit down, I'd listen, and I wouldn't pay attention, right? I'd listen, but I wouldn't pay attention. So I didn't figure anything out. I couldn't figure anything out. I couldn't hear. And I had bad eyesight, right? I didn't even know it. I thought that was normal to see like that. I'm in 3rd grade, I'm like 8 years old, maybe 9. Yeah, 9, probably 9, 8 or 9, something like that. And so that year of school went by, and I'm not learning anything, but I still want to be the greatest storyteller ever. I'm just not learning from any of these teachers. So I go to 4th grade, right? I'm in this class with this teacher that my mom had. So you got the same teacher as me? I was like, yeah. So I was in there learning times tables in 4th grade, and that was a struggle. I was like, I liked that because it was math. That was kind of fun. So I learned those times tables. They were hard, but I'd go home and practice. So I cared about learning the times tables. I don't know why. I was interested in that. Even when I was in 2nd grade, I was interested in math, but I just never had anybody take me under their wing and were like, man, you're a math guy. I'm like, yeah, I am a math guy. I can think about stuff in my head. I can do math in my head. But nobody taught me anything. Nobody cared. I just went through 2nd grade, and by the time I got to 3rd grade, I was just playing baseball, right? I was a dirty little baseball kid. I can be a Major League Baseball player. And so now I got two dreams. Greatest storyteller ever, Major League Baseball player. And the Major League Baseball player kind of took over for a while until I was about 8th grade. And I had this teacher. Anyway, 4th grade. So I'm in 4th grade, and I remember this like yesterday. I'm walking into class. I'm standing by the window. I don't know, it's 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock. The sun's just coming over. I'm on the West Coast. It's a beautiful day. I'm in the classroom, and I'm thinking, I'm walking along next to the desks, and I'm thinking, and it just hit me. I was like, wait a minute. We print money? We'll never be poor. In 4th grade. And I remember that all my life. That memory, right? I didn't remember like I carried it like every single day. It's like it would recycle itself and reoccur and re-enter that thought. And then when I got to be about 40, I started learning about money. Yeah, like really learning about money. What is money, like that, right? I didn't know that at all, what money was. I had no idea. I thought money was like paper. I was in 4th grade. Like, we can print money? We print money? Like, what do you think about that, right? And so, because I'm telling this story, let me back that up. From a relaxed perspective, you're not hearing the message. Like when I get the language and I start to get where I care and something means something to me, and I get up on the edge of my seat and I begin to talk in a way that's like, you know what? They didn't teach me that. They left me naked. I'm going to school. One day I'm going to have employment. I'm not going to know how to manage that money. I'm in 4th grade. I already know. We print money. I don't even know what that means. There's no one even asked that question to. What do you do about that? What do you do when you're in school and there's no one asked the questions that really mean something? They're really important questions. What am I going to do when I grow up? How am I going to function? And they're like, Mr. Ledferd, you don't have to get so excited. You don't have to get angry. And I'm like, I'm not getting angry. I'm a little disappointed. Here I am in a class with the teacher that my mom had. And it was a great connection between me and my mom. But the problem was, this guy was teaching the same thing 40 years, 20 years later. Same exact thing. The curriculum hadn't improved a bit. Matter of fact, it was getting worse because, see, I didn't know anything else. I could barely read. I was going into 5th grade. I didn't know anything. When I was in 2nd grade, see, this kind of ticked me off a little bit. I'm in 2nd grade. 2nd grade. And I asked the teacher, I said, you know, we're learning about Christopher Columbus. And I'm like, wait a minute. How do you discover a land when there's people already there? Isn't that discovery already? Somebody else is there. Somebody else discovered it. I'm in 2nd grade. The teacher says, oh, that's not important. Don't ask those kind of questions. Just listen. And I was like, whoa. I thought that was a pretty simple question. I'm in 2nd grade. I didn't think that was that high a level of thinking. A 2nd grader asking that question. Children are supposed to do that. And that teacher shut me up. Anyway, the excitement when it comes time, when the people need someone to come along and give them some encouragement, you have to tap their emotions. You have to get inside their head, get inside their heart, in the place where they know they're not fulfilling their own purpose. This is the point. It's calling people to their own purpose. Like telling my story, just relaxing doesn't do a thing. People's emotions don't get touched with the softness, with the relaxedness, with the comfort. Like this, I'm standing up, right? Now I'm getting excited. Now I can tell the story like it was meant to be told. This position, right? This position is what I'm talking about. Standing up, taking ownership. Not just being a soft, weak, comfortable, right? Sleeping in, getting up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. See, look at that. That ain't that much, but that's a lot of work. Perseverance, right? Perseverance is important. This message today is about perseverance for those companies out there, for those businesses who've gotten soft. The United States has gotten soft. We're not developing the future. We're still in the past. Driving cars on asphalt with potholes. You go around the city and you talk about these leaders, and I'm like, how is it that people vote for some of these people? I'm looking at some of these mayors. They got no clue, right? Common sense. Common sense is not so common. Why? They vote these people in. It's like 75% of the people ,50% of the people. I don't know what the number is, right? I haven't done the exact number. And it would be easy. These are the things you don't need to know in your mind or your memory. Because you can Google this stuff. Doesn't even matter. You look at the last election, the last presidential election, and you watch the media, right? You gotta persevere. The lies. See, the media has been teaching lies and not reporting the facts. The news they give you is politicized. It's completely liberal, right? Who wants that? Like, I get it, right? Total leftism has got a serious problem, a violence problem. And then you got the total right. They got a problem too. They get their people killed and murdered. Then the FBI comes in. We don't even know the facts now. I thought cash was going to be changed. I'm not sure yet. The way he's handling this Charlie Kirk thing, I'm kind of disappointed. It kind of is being light. I'm being kind of disappointed. See, this administration perseverance, right? This administration. If you watched the president at the United Nations and you go back to like 2000, oh man, it was like 6 years ago. 2016, I guess, something like that. I don't remember the date. You can Google that date. He goes before the United Nations, right? This is perseverance still, right? We're kind of bouncing around a little bit because you need to know that it's not just me. We all need a lesson in perseverance. So Donald Trump, and I got to share this, right? I got to share this. I wasn't a Donald Trump fan. When I watched The Apprentice, I didn't like his style. I still kind of don't like his style a little bit, right? Because I just don't, right? It's like flavor. But I still watched his development. I wasn't ignorant to what was going on with him. I had seen the videos of Oprah and other people when he was younger and what he thought. And I was like, even though I don't really like this guy's got something that we need to watch because he's saying something that they're not saying. The media's not saying it. The politicians aren't saying it. And we got status quo. It wasn't getting better. It wasn't getting better. Politically, it wasn't getting better. We weren't getting better leaders, right? We weren't getting better reporters. We were getting actors, a bunch of actors. So I get it, right? There's this idea. What is it called? Being a I'm gonna think of the word. Just give me a minute. It's like pretender, right? Like you're a pretender. I forgot the word. Anyway, it's like being a pretender, right? You feel like you're a pretender. You get in this position, right? So you don't even know where the bathroom's at. You get into this position. Donald Trump, right? He goes into the United Nations. He's president. He doesn't know how to be president yet. It's his first time, right? I'm sure he's done some research and study because that's the kind of guy he is, as far as I've learned, right? He don't just go into stuff without planning the deal. He's a deal guy. He's been a deal guy for a long time. But he didn't figure out the presidency in his first term that well, right? But he did some stuff. He did some stuff that were different. But he listened to too many other political personalities, and he was allowing these I would call them deceivers, right? These deceivers, the deep state was so entrenched into the government, there was a bottomless pit of corruption going on. And no one even talked about it, like if it didn't exist. So Donald shows up and he gets entangled with that stuff, right? We're all human. We all have entanglements. And I got so many people pointing out Donald's entanglements, and I'm like, man, the story, right? Jesus said, you're looking at my eye, I got a little twig, freaking log. You got a log this big in your eye. And you're asking me to get the twig out. That's what we're dealing with, right? We're dealing with that. So I'm like, okay, Donald, I got a log. I'm looking at your twig. My bad, right? My bad. I got to get some perseverance through his second presidency. What is that going to look like? We don't even know, right? We're dealing with the first one. So he goes before the United Nations. They laugh at him. They clown him. They scoff him. They're doing everything they can to stop him already. And I'm not sure what God's plan is for this, because I'm just not sure. But I'm going to tell you something, right? I'm going to share something with you. Perseverance, right? Donald could bring in surveillance state. That could happen. He's been doing a lot of good things. Common sense doctrine is great. But I don't think I want a police state either. Now, Chicago, their mayor, Illinois' governor, when you listen to those guys talk, you really need some patience. See, if you actually listen to what they say and you hold them to the fire on it, example, right? Chicago's doing good. It's like 11 murders, 7 murders, 20 people shot, whatever the numbers are, right? You can Google the numbers. I don't know what they are. But if you go back a year, 2 years, maybe even 5 years, same thing. Murder, murder, murder. That's what they got in Chicago, right? So that we deal with these things in America, right? Like, this is one of the biggest ones. Police officers, right? There was a, see, I'm not sure how far YouTube is gonna let me go with this. So I can't tell this story. But that story I'll save for later, right? What that looks like from a common sense perspective. Chicago needs some help. They need to know, like the people of Chicago, you go to the communities where the crime is at, like they don't want cops. Yeah, the criminals don't. But the people that have been living there for like 30 years, 40 years in some cases, they're scared. They don't even go out to dinner anymore. They go out as they try to go out the least amount that they can because they don't want to get robbed. And believe me, if you don't got your card, your neighborhood card, you come in and you're the wrong persuasion, they'll rob you just for that. But the media won't tell you that. They won't say, hey, if you're this persuasion, don't go over there, even though it's implied, right? You already know. Don't go over there. You're going to get robbed. Wow. You know what's even worse? This is even worse. That's bad, right? This is worse. When you talk about this guy being the same persuasion as this guy, they're killing each other, right? The numbers are staggering. But they're worried about the police officers, what they're doing, right? That's the bad guy. See, law is not in place for people that follow the law. The law is not in place for people that do right. Righteousness is not in place for righteous people because they already got it. It's to guide the ones that don't got it. Yep. It's for the ones that don't got it. So they can learn it, right? You gotta write stuff down. You gotta teach people something. You gotta be willing to answer the hard questions. Like this one. This is the one you gotta answer. How does somebody discover something when somebody else is already there? This is like squatters, right? They show up to a house, the house is empty. Nobody's living there. They just go in, they just move in. The owner shows up to like bring his new renters along. Somebody's living there. What's the difference in the two? I don't know. But I ain't for either one, right? I ain't for either one. It's like, okay, we show up and there's somebody there. Oh, apparently we're at your front door. Do you mind if we come in? You knock on the door. If something's on the curb, right? And I've been guilty for this. It looks like it's trash, I pick it up. When I was younger, I did that, right? Like I picked up like broken bikes or whatever. And finally one day, somebody did that to me. I left something outside. And someone took it. They must have thought it was trash. I was like, man, that was my front yard, right? Like that. That wasn't trash. But somebody took it. So I was like, there's something I need to learn from this. You know what I learned? When I think like that, I drive by and I see something I can repurpose. I go knock on the people's door. It took me a while to learn this, right? Nobody taught me this. I figured this one out myself. It's common sense. You're gonna take something off the curb in front of somebody's house. At least have the dignity, the respect to go and knock on their door and ask, hey bro, are you getting rid of that? Just asking. It's kind of embarrassing because you're picking up other people's trash, but you know what? I'll take honest embarrassment any day. Better than looking like I'm stealing from people, taking their property, stealing their land, whatever that may be. I don't want to be that guy, right? I don't want to be that guy. This is common sense. Who wants to be the guy known as a thief? You go to some countries, get your hand chopped off, right? You get caught stealing, chop your hand off. So you walk around the market with no hand. Everybody knows you're a thief. But over here, $1,000, $1,500 or whatever. In California, you can't even talk to the people. They walk out. No arrest. No charges. What does that breed? I mean, it's common sense. What does that breed? It's like, oh, they're giving stuff away. Up to $1,000. You start telling your children that stuff that don't know anything. So I'm talking to this guy, right? He's a different persuasion. He's still got racist mindset, right? He's got blame game mindset. He's got limiting beliefs mindset. He says that for his kind, it's hard. It's hard. And I'm like, what? You know what DEI is? He's like, yeah, DEI is good. And I'm like, yeah, for you, but not for people like me. But I didn't care about DEI. See, weak people, especially mentally weak people, they let policies like DEI control their belief system. And they think they can't do stuff or nobody will let them. It's like they're waiting on somebody to come open the door for them. I ain't that tight. I go knock on the door. I don't care how embarrassing it is. It might be your stuff on the curb. I ain't gonna just take it. But see, there's this too, right? Machiavelli said, success is for the bold. That's boldness. Knock, 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 knock. The boldness, right? There's also this boldness, right? You didn't think about this. The text teaches us to be bold and to walk into the throne room and make our requests be known to God. That's right. He don't want us coming in there, oh, well, I know I don't deserve it. And, I'm this color, that color, I'm male or female or whatever your limiting beliefs is. You don't go in the throne room with limiting beliefs because he's like, man, don't you believe I could do anything? Don't you think I could do anything? God, right? I'm God. You're going in there before God and you're making your request be known with limiting beliefs. How are you going to get any answers? See, I've been through a lot of denominations. Perseverance. We're still talking about perseverance. We're even talking, we got so many stories we're starting and unfolding, right? This is when you get into, when you become a motivational speaker, a true motivational speaker. You don't need notes. This is not memory. This is being. Straight up being. When you become something like that, there's a difference. Anyway, the perseverance of Donald Trump gets clowned, right? He gets clowned. The Bible teaches that the fool will confound the wise. They make themselves as wise. I watch these politicians, especially these liberals, and hear what they're saying right now in this government shutdown. Wow. The things that they've said, and the media won't even call them on it. The media won't say a thing. We have to persevere a media that won't simply do the journalism. Dig up the facts, ask the questions, right? This is journalism 101. Dig up the facts, ask the questions. I watched Hakeem Jeffries talking. He was on one of those news outlets because Barry Cunningham was showing the clip, and Barry Cunningham, that's a decent channel for me, right? I listen to the guy. He has a lot of good political commentary. Anyway, I listened to this. He's the Senate. Is it majority? No, not majority. The Senate leader of the liberals. Something like that, whatever his position is. I'm listening to him talk about why they voted to why Donald Trump, right? So they blame Donald Trump for shutting down the government when they voted against it. All the Republicans voted, well, I think maybe Rand Paul. All the Republicans, exception of Ron Paul, I guess, and I'm not sure what his problem is. Anyway, we're persevering through this government shutdown now, trying to figure out what that means. So these liberals, right, think about what they're asking for. They're not even saying it. It's like a secret. It's written down exactly what they want, but they won't say it. They'll keep covering it up with a narrative to blame Donald Trump still. Even though I don't even think he had a vote. I don't think Donald Trump actually voted for that. Hallelujah. That was a good live. It went crazy. I got like 0 viewers on that, but that's okay. I had a couple people send a hi, said hi, like, whatever. It's good. It's fine. Hallelujah. I'm still seeking out the kingdom of God today. It's Yom Kippur. Today's Yom Kippur. I've got the shofars blowing on my music player. My intention today my intention today was to go live and begin the steps of this newfound identity. I'm not even sure if identity is right, but it's not even career. It's just becoming whatever God called me to become. They call them like motivational speakers. I think it's something else. I think it's storyteller. I think it's greatest storyteller ever. It's crazy because it's like when I tell the stories with the normal like this, it doesn't get much in the way of tapping into the mind. See, people are inclined to err. Excuse me. And that's fine, because if you know it, you can correct it. The worst place to be is stupid and you don't know you're stupid. Persevering, right? Once you know you're stupid, you can persevere through stupidity and get further and further away from it. Even though you're still stupid, you're not stuck on stupid. Just there, right? This is my I don't know what they call it, resume. When I send out my resume to these other potential I don't know if they're called entertainment venues or stuff like that. You gotta go through these hoops to get to these platforms, to get to these stages, these microphones, to tell these stories. And you know, when you're nobody, or what they think you're nobody. You're not nobody until you're somebody, right? Then when you're somebody, everybody wants you. And so I talked to my wife and I told her, you know what? 3 people already told me that I should become a motivational speaker. They've asked me, are you a motivational speaker? Are you a motivational coach? And I was like, there's something to that, right? Like when they asked him, are you the Messiah? He said, you said it. Are you a king? He said, my kingdom's not of this world. So they said it to him. He simply accepted the facts that he already knew. They were just confirming it, right? So the first person that confirmed it, you know, I was like, oh yeah, that's great. And the second person that confirmed, oh yeah, it's great. But yesterday, when it got confirmed the third time, it got confirmed like this. You should be a motivational speaker. Every time we talk, you motivate me. Big time. And I was like, yeah, but how do I do that? How do you do that? How do you, like, what do you do? How many doors you got to knock? Do I even want to waste my time knocking on doors that people can just say no anyway? Do I want to just get a bunch of no's? I got a bunch of no's already through the process of getting to where I'm at now. And that was great. Do I want to go through that again? Oh, you got to put in your work. Man, I've been putting in work a long time. Oh, you got to go through the stages. You got to go do their tables and serve their books. And it's like, nah, I don't need to do that. Oh, you need to show up and volunteer. Like, nah, I don't need to do that. All these ideas that they did because they were young, man. You talk about if you're a 20-year-old and you want to be a motivational speaker, yeah, you got to do that stuff because you want to be that. I'm not even sure if I want to or not. But I'm going to tell you this. When other people are telling you and asking you if you're that, and you are, but you just don't know it, maybe that'll open your eyes to what you're supposed to be doing. I was like, man, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could do that. I don't know. I don't know how I would do it to start off with anyway. So I thought about it today, right? Because that was yesterday. Yesterday, it was either last night or this morning, I decided that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. But I ain't going to do it the way other people do it. I'm going to do it the way God calls it. That's how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to get on YouTube. I'm going to do live videos. This other guy, I guess that might be number 4. He's a director at the memory clinic area, right? I work in the medical center. He's the director of the department. He talks to me on occasion. I just pick up trash, right? He's talking to me. The director's talking to me on his way to his office. He says to me, he goes, Richard, you need to start a podcast. And I was like, oh man, that might be difficult. Starting a podcast? That means I would actually have to share my ideas. Talk about recording what I said. That means I get held to that. There's not going to be any like forgiveness. Your stuff's got to be on point, bro. It's got to be on point. You can't leave. See, you can't leave this much space, right? Because the critics, they're going to come in and attempt to destroy you. They're going to call you out. They're going to post negative stuff. They're going to try to stop you. Especially the ones who got evil intentions. They don't want this message to get out. If the people, right? If the people get saved, so the prophet said, he says to Israel, we're not saved. We're not saved. He put himself in the group. Even though he was the prophet, hearing from God, he still said to the people, we're not saved. The people, they walked around in delusion. They didn't even know they were in a delusion. The worst place to be is in a delusion and you don't know. See, a lot of these guys, they want to be in a delusion because, see, what happens is when you're in delusion, you don't know you're failing. So you can be comfortable in the delusion that you don't even know you're in because you're afraid you might be held accountable to doing something, anything, being productive in society, somewhere, anywhere. But no, not these delusional individuals. They think, see, it stems from limiting beliefs. And perseverance, right, brings us through limiting beliefs. See, we fight to learn and grow. Why do I believe that because I'm this, I can't do something? Why do I believe that? Sometimes it's your dad. And the guy I was telling you about with the limiting beliefs that he thinks because of this, he's held back. Imagine he's telling his son that. Hey, well, because you're this, you're going to be held back. Instead of like, hey, you could do anything. Put your mind to it. And even if you don't succeed at that, don't stop there. Maybe that's not your calling. So you go to something, maybe you didn't even wait long enough to see it come out. Maybe it is your calling. But he's told you can't do it anyway, so now you don't believe. And now you can't. See, there's this saying. I know a lot of you know this already. If you say you can or you say you can't, you're right. Yep. Yeah, this is like, so I put in a lot of subjects, right? I put a lot of subjects on that I could, believe me, I could grow those subjects big time, each one of them. But I wanted to get a well-rounded view of the different areas that these companies that are failing big time. Matter of fact, think about it. When AI comes around, what are you going to do with your people? You're just going to throw them out on the street? These companies, let's just take a company that cares about its people, right? And they know AI is going to take over their company. The first training they should do for their people is teach them that, you know what, AI is coming, and we're going to close down in 5 years. We're going to start doing trainings for another type of business so that everybody can learn this type of business, and we're going to move into that. What do you think? There's a suggestion box right over there, and we would like everybody's suggestions to go in that box. We're going to leave it up for 10 days or whatever, and then we're going to have another meeting, and we're going to pull all these suggestions out, and we're going to put them up and brainstorm the ideas and see what we can do going forward so that we can be ready for the 21st century and what it is bringing. Right? This is easy stuff. This is simple stuff. And companies aren't even thinking like this. This is exactly the reason why I've decided to take the torch, the mantle, and go live. The first time I went live, it was for Yom Kippur, to blow trumpets and to celebrate. I tried to watch for the event to happen in Jerusalem, the limiting, and I'm saying limiting because I searched around to find anybody that was watching for the witnesses, the report from the leadership, the trumpets blowing. I was looking around. They didn't make it easy. I didn't find nothing, so I didn't know what day it started. It took me another day after it happened to find out it happened. It was crazy, right? But I didn't quit. I didn't give up. I blew trumpets anyway. I didn't see the moon, but I blew trumpets anyway. My neighbors are all getting distracted. A guy out there making all that noise again, out in the backyard yelling at everybody. Like, man, I'm just practicing my public speaking. But now I've been taking it all personal, like it's at them. It's at everybody, myself included. We're not saved. So I'll go back to persevering once again. We got to persevere these times. And these companies that ain't got no guidance, no leadership, no one stepping up and giving them what they need to hear to prepare Americans for tomorrow, let alone 10 years from now. What's coming? I know what's coming. And that's why I decided to get out and share it. Why do I know? I got no idea. I don't know why I know. I just do. Did I learn it? Did someone teach me it? Over years of knocking on doors, asking people if that's trash? Maybe. I've been a salesman. I went out to learn how to do sales. I didn't like it. I like picking up trash. Makes me feel humble. Makes me feel like a servant. It reminds me every day when I'm picking up trash. He said it. Let the least of you be the greatest. It's a servant of all. How do you say it? Let you, who is the greatest of all, be servant to all. Something like that, right? I don't remember exactly how it goes. I can pull it up and read it. We can Google it, right? You can Google that real easy. Anyway, when I feel like I'm a servant and I'm serving people by picking up their trash, I'm bringing myself a base so I can be humbled, live in a humble mindset, and remember this is who I am. But I already know when I go home, they don't know that. The only people that know are the people I talk to. They're like, wow. I was talking to this guy yesterday who said that about fitness, right? He's the same age as me. We're having that conversation. He already knows. But sometimes, even though you know, until someone comes along and shows you that you can do it, maybe you should be doing it. Sometimes it sets the wheels in motion. See, I didn't think that giving lectures to companies was my thing. I didn't think that. But then once I found out, people make up companies. They themselves, the companies, they become, how do you say that? A person, right? A person. Companies become a person, a paper person. Some companies are almost close to where they could cast a vote. They actually have legitimacy and identity. And that's a long story, right? You talk about identity and personhood, what person even means. You go to the Black's Law Dictionary. It gives you a whole different description than what is it called? The Law's Black Dictionary, well, the word dictionary, Webster's, right? You get Webster's and you read the definition of a person in Webster's, you might get a different understanding when you compare it to Black's Law Dictionary concerning a person, right? You get these two different definitions. You need to know both. See, they say ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking the law. Something like that, right? You should be aware of the law. Anybody not aware of the law is only doing a disservice to their self. You think that you can go around in ignorance breaking the law because you don't know? You're just doing a disservice to yourself, because one day, when you get so far along in it, it becomes your lifestyle. Those people end up in prison for a long time. Because once they get taken to the court by the law, they can't change their ways. And they continue down that spiral path downward of maintaining that ignorance, and they never grow. I know people, they're in their 50s and 60s, some of them 70s. It's like they still think like they did when they were 20. And then you share that, like you share with a company. Man, your company was built in the 80s, and your mindset is still in the 80s, and you don't even know it. So I'm here, right? I'm here to talk to your company to get out of the 80s, get to 2025 and beyond. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to break the mindset of the 20-year-old, this company is, and bring them into the mature, well-informed company. The person that it is needs to grow out of its teenage years. I mean, I get it. I like being young. And the Bible teaches us, unless you become like a little child, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven. Yeah, there's that. That's another topic to just take. Anyway, I think that was pretty good for a sample video. A little piece of the pie. Hallelujah. Oh, there we go. Yes. Hey, kid, told you.